Hey everybody, Vic Fitch here, your direct sales expert. I am coming to you live from sunny Southern California. Today was a gorgeous day. I mean, there was a lot of weird stuff going on politics and TV and hearings, but here in Spring Valley Lake, it was beautiful. So, you guys, if you are new to the broadcast, feel free. Actually, don't feel free. Just click the below. Just put your name in so I can say hey. And those of you who are my regular Perry peeps and my Facebook fans, make sure you hit the share button. You know, I'm still dealing with purgatory. I'm still stuck in no man's land. So our reach is not getting out. I tagged some of you that have asked me to tag you or that you're regular contributors to my content. So hit the share button. And then, like I said, drop your name in the comments below. You guys, hey Redmond, welcome to the broadcast. Those are you on Periscope. I can see some of you as you pop in. The rest of you have to put your name in there. Marsha, welcome to the broadcast. Thanks for being here. Okay. So today we're going to talk about, is the impeachment process productive? Okay. So put a 1 in the chat box if you've seen anything going on with the impeachment process. And no, we're not going to get you all discombobulated and upset. Just put a 1 in the chat box if you're familiar with them. A 2 if you've actually been watching, like if you participated. Because the thing is that there's a lot of stuff going on that have been going on for years, like in the political arena. I wasn't even paying attention. I'll be perfectly honest. I wasn't paying attention either. And I was kind of trusting. Marsha, thanks again for sharing with people. I was just kind of tra-la-lawing along and not recognizing what's going on. Yeah, I know my lighting's really weird. It looks like I have big dark circles or something. Sorry about that. It's I don't have my same lighting system that I used to have at my old house. I'm trying to work through it. Anyway, so this impeachment process has gotten a lot of people very tense and uptight, right? So put a 2 in the chat or 3 in the chat box if you've seen tension in the social media platforms today. A lot of that tension, like I said, comes from differing ideals, different topics, people trying to figure out what's going on and not quite sure. Um, but we got to talk about, is it productive? Is the impeachment process productive? Is it productive for you to watch it? I mean, if you're an entrepreneur or you're somebody who's trying to keep yourself in a zen space, that might not be the place for you to be, right? That you recognize that there's a lot of is that better? I don't know. They're saying that there's a weird glow in my face. I'm sorry, guys. I'll have to fix it later. Um, that you'll have to recognize, is this process, should you be involved in it? Because we do want to be aware, but if you know that it triggers you and you end up not being able to function, not work, or you get so angry or uptight or upset that it's not being productive for you. So we want to talk about that. We want to talk about it on a couple different levels because you guys know the show we're doing. Hey, Hans, welcome to the broadcast video. It's good to see you. Hans is my sweet friend from over there in New Zealand. He wrote a great book, and we're really proud of you, Hans. So there's a lot of stuff. And like I said, here we have, people, I think we have about 6 different countries here. I am, my friend. Thanks for being here. We have about 6 different countries that I've seen pop in on the different platforms. Hey, super welcome to the broadcast. And that's something to think of too, is that how do you spend your time? Last week we had a Blab reunion. Put a 4 in the chat box if you were on Blab. Now I know Hans was. I actually interviewed him on my podcast there, but put a 4 in the chat box if you ever remember Blab. We had a little Blab reunion last week, and it was really fun getting people together and connecting. Now we're all different. We come from all different places in the world, not just the country, but in the world. We have different political beliefs. We have different color skin. We have different, nationalities. There's just these huge differences all around, but we come together as a Blab family. And again, we don't all agree with each other on things, but we communicate, because that's what I mean. I know family thing. Yeah, Hans was there. Hey, well, you missed it. Yes. Oh man, William, you did miss it, my friend. I tagged you in an invitation on, I don't know which platform. I think it was on Facebook. Anyway, but we'll have another one. But we had a lot of fun. And Joel and myself and Q and Joel Com, yes, and Vincenzo. I'm trying to remember everybody who was there. It was a hoot. But we're talking about community and family, and what that means is when we get together and how we build relationships doesn't necessarily have to do with like I said, there's different skin colors, there's different countries, there's different political beliefs, there's different religious beliefs. It doesn't matter. When you come together and you're looking to contribute and looking to be part of something, then Mel, thanks for being here and thanks for inviting people. That when you're looking to contribute, then those barriers all kind of move out of the way because you're part of a community. And so when we're today's broadcast title is the impeachment process productive. So we need to talk about that so we can relate it to your life and relate it to business and how things are going. So is it productive? Now, first of all, from a political aspect, because this is step up, stand out, and speak. So we want to address it from a political level and a personal level as well, because everybody's going to have a little bit different opinion. But is it productive? I think I personally, this is just me. And again, we can have a conversation about it if you want. It's a waste of taxpayer resources. Trump is out of office. That it's kind of a formality. The only reason they're really doing this, because I don't believe any of them actually believe he was inciting violence. I really don't. There's insightful, rhetoric is part of politics, right? I mean, it's part of politics. You saw Pelosi tell people that actually, you saw Kamala Harris say that they shouldn't let the people that were rioting during the summer they won't let up, and they shouldn't let up. You got Maxine Waters telling people to get in the Trump supporters, the Trump administration people's faces. So you got people that are really actually inciting physical, at least physical tension, if nothing else. And then a lot of Democrats did say a lot worse things. Then you got Trump saying, you got to fight for your country. Well, don't we say that all the time? I mean, that's part of every 4th of July speech. That's part of, we always say, you got to fight for what you want. You got to fight for it. He didn't say, get out your muskets, and he wasn't leading a charge with a flag in his hand, said, let's go, let's bust down the Capitol. I mean, that's what they're trying to make it seem like. Now, again, you might have a difference of opinion. I'm happy to chat with you about it, but we want to relate this political situation into your business, into your life. And so when people are when the metric that you use for one side versus the other, whether it happens to be skin color, it happens to be what state you're from, what country you're from, what if you're male or female, whatever you're using as this measuring stick, if it's not equal, then thanks for the hearts, Melanie, I really appreciate it. If it's not equal, then you lose credibility on one side or the other. And so then people start, when they don't see, right? So if we were on the Blab platform and it was our community, and some people just started trying to push people away, right? You're not creating a community. This is not unity that we're creating. And we want to think about this in your life and in your business. That if you're trying to bring people together, you don't find ways to separate them, right? Put a 5 in the chat box if you agree. I mean, if you're trying to bring people together, you don't find reasons to separate them. You look for the common denominator. Like in the Blab community, we all loved Blab, and we were all, learning we were kind of navigating the terrain of the online marketplace. And so that's that happens. And so we look for those ways to bring things together. Now, in what's going on here in the US, for those of you who aren't from the US, they're impeaching President Trump again. And whether you like him or whether you hate him, if we look at a metric, and the metric is, did his words where he tells you, I know we're going down, you guys are going down to the Capitol. The people had already planned on coming to that day they're making it sound like Trump has this secret society, and he told everybody, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to meet here, and then we're going to go down and we're going to take over the Capitol. That didn't happen. I mean, it didn't happen. And whoever is coming from the Facebook group, probably either the Entrepreneur Rockstars or one of our other Facebook groups, you didn't give permission for StreamYard to put your name. So whoever said hi, let me know your name, because it just says Facebook user, and whoever put a 5, it just says Facebook user, so I can say hey, but I cannot call you by name. And so when we look at this, like I said, what are you trying to do to create community? Create community in your business, create community in your life, create, like, with your neighbors, your family, your friends. You got to look for a common denominator, not a separator, right? And so in your peace, like in your Zen space, is it doing you any good to, is the impeachment process productive for you? Now, for me, I'm somebody that I want to know what's happening, because I want to be able to talk about it. And if somebody tells me something that isn't true, I want to be able to defend it. And if they tell me something that is true, I want to understand why. Why did that happen? I mean, are you guys with me? Put a 6 in the chat box if you're like, wait a minute, I want to know what's going on because I want to understand. Maybe you were out, I always say, out to lunch, right? Maybe you were out to lunch for a few years and wasn't paying attention. I was a little bit in a stupor. I mean, I was paying attention to some of the policies, but not the behind what was happening behind the scenes. I guess I wasn't looking at what the media was exposing me to and what it wasn't. I was just accepting that whatever I received on the media, mainstream media was what it is. It is what it is. It wasn't until Donald Trump became the president that he started exposing some of the hypocrisy that was going on. And again, you might love him or hate him. I know I found from a lot of my friends from different countries, they are really, they don't get all of the information we do here. Yeah, that I don't know how things get separated. I know some countries can block certain things, just like we're getting blocked by using some of the platforms that we're using. We get kind of blocked as well. Many of you guys know I'm still in purgatory. So again, if you would hit that share button, I'd really appreciate it, and put your name in the chat, like I said, so I can say hello. If you're not following and you don't have the notifications tab on, I hope you'll do a girl a solid and give me a follow and check out the content. If you don't like it, feel free to unfollow, do whatever you need. But just in case, we'd love to have you around. And so it gets harder and harder for us to find ways to build bridges, right? To build the bridge and not just keep trying to create the divide. So I've found that my friends, like if you guys are, put a 7 in the chat box if you regularly interact with me on Facebook, for instance. That's where we have most of our conversations. Hey, Kawe, welcome to the broadcast. That's where we have a lot of deep conversations because you have more characters and we can actually type out responses. And over the last week, I try and post things that I want people to be aware of, but I also want to create conversation. And today, again, if you were participating, I'll get back to the comments in just a second. If you were participating, you saw me and a friend of mine named Norm we were having a conversation. It was, I wouldn't call it heated. I would call it detailed, like, when detailed and like, wait a minute, like questioning a little bit. Are you trying to say this? No, I'm not. Okay. So we kept going back and forth in conversation. And I appreciate that. It doesn't matter that we have differing belief systems, we have differing views on what's going on. We were able to have a conversation. We're able to have a constructive conversation. Now, if you've seen conversations with someone else who I've said started trolling, somebody used to be a friend that started trolling, then those have been less productive because when people aren't looking for a solution, when they're not looking to bridge the gap, and all we're doing is using what I call bubblegum and band-aids. If somebody doesn't want to bridge the gap, they just want to keep throwing, they want to throw lob grenades at you, or they want to do something to try and disrupt your peace or your stability of direction and what you believe. Those people, you're trying to build the gap. Like I said, you're throwing some bubble gum there and putting a band-aid on and hoping you can walk over. But that's not going to happen. They got landmines set. So you want to be careful with the time and attention and the energy that you spend. I believe that we should educate ourselves on things, especially that have to do with our future. But I also know it's hard, and that's why we have to not be judgmental. It's hard for some people to understand the rhetoric that goes back and forth. And like today, put a 7, wait, we're at 8 in the chat box. If you guys were watching the hearings today at all, whether you're in this country or another country, I watch them on C-SPAN, so I don't hear the running commentary because it's so slanted that I don't want to hear that. I just want to hear what the people are saying. And even when you're listening to when people are talking about, they're talking about Alexander Hamilton, and they're talking about, different pieces of the Constitution, and Section 1.378, whatever, and people that are not wanting to dive into that, they get a little overwhelmed. Like, put a 9 in the chat box if you get overwhelmed, because I know I like that stuff, and sometimes I'm sitting here looking up what they're saying while they're talking, but most people don't. That they find that intimidating and a little bit overwhelming, and so that's why they will consume some of their content from someone who breaks it down for them, breaks it down into terms that they understand, that it doesn't make them feel like they just ran a mental marathon by trying to understand what's going on. And so we need to do that in business and in our life, because those things, when you're willing to take a complex topic and break it down into something that people can communicate with and that they understand. Yeah, Melanie said when she gets overwhelmed, she just shuts it off. I totally understand. And that's why, sometimes, like, there's a few news sources that I appreciate. Like, I love Ben Shapiro. I don't agree with everything Ben Shapiro says. I don't. I would say probably about 95%, maybe 98. I think very close. We're very closely aligned, but I don't think everything he says is right. Sometimes I think he's melodramatic or misinterprets something the way it is. Did the Republicans say anything significant? They said they used their position was very significant. As a matter of fact, their position honestly outlined the fact that this whole trial is a bit of a farce. But I'll be honest, the Democrats delivering, and this is what you have to remember in your Hey Shy Blues, when you're delivering, oh yeah, we're talking about, well, we're talking about a lot of stuff. We're talking about, is the impeachment process productive for you? And we're tying it in with business and personal and relationships and communication and what's going on there. So when Melanie asked, did the Republicans say anything significant? I said they did. They really outlined the fact that in the Constitution and the way it's written right now, this is a bit of a sham trial. But in all honesty, Hey Shy Blues, hey has Shan, I can't say, I don't know what that says. Welcome to the broadcast. That the Democrats actually did a good job of creating doubt of why they should be able to do the process. And again, that's what court systems and that's what trials and stuff are all about. In my personal opinion, still, the Constitution is very clear that this shouldn't be happening. Um, what I felt that the Democrats brought, and again, for those of you who are just popping in, this is not just a political conversation. We're talking about how to bridge the gap in communication with clients and customers and family members, and we're using the political arena to do it right now. But the fact is that the points they brought up suggest something that if they wanted to do an amendment to the Constitution for the future, that would be relevant and have value. But they're trying, the way they ramrodded it through. I think it was probably a 30-minute opening statement by the Republicans. It was longer than that. Thanks, Shy Blues. It was longer than that for the Democrats. But that opening statement really ties in the Constitution, what it says, how people, and in this case, the Democrats are trying to, they're trying to use. They're trying to change the definition of some of the words. And this is what's been happening in society, where we have to be really careful as communicators and as entrepreneurs, as family members, as anything, because now there's so many words that used to be okay that now you can't say. And I'm going to do that as one of our topics. How people are changing what words mean. What was it? Candace Owens did one and talked about words from the old days that meant a pile of sticks. And I'm not going to do it now because I know I'll get myself in more trouble, but that meant a pile of sticks. And then now it means something derogatory towards people that have a different sexual orientation. And so now you can't say a word that it has an actual definition of something else, but people start using it in a different way and they change the definitions. And now all of a sudden we're supposed to change what we say. And we have to be really careful, because I think we are really teetering on some crazy lines here. And and that's where the step up, stand out, and speak comes in. I will be honest. And again, you can love me, you can hate me, you can follow me, you can unfollow me or unfriend me, whatever you want to do, because this it's your space, right? Creating emotion, you mean, Raskin? Th- okay, Ed, I want to talk about that because I thought that was the most inauthentic bologna sandwich I've ever seen, and I got to talk about that in a second. But so when we're, yes, Melanie, good one. Gay used to mean happy. Gay does mean happy, but it also has another meaning. And now if you use the original meaning, you get just pummeled, right? Or you can get pummeled. People can't even say the word. And Ben Shapiro, or I think it was that did this today, how ridiculous it is that you can't say. This one teacher was talking to a kid, asked them, well, if this person uses the N word, um, should they be suspended? And he said, or something to that effect. I'm not getting all those facts exactly right. And he said, well, it depends. Were they saying it like this? And he said it like in context of like a rap song, or were they calling somebody names and trying to be derogatory? Because your intent matters. And this was in 2019, and he just had to resign from his job, from what I understand, because of this. The people started complaining. It's like, I'm sorry, but are we really refusing to communicate that much that we can't have a conversation? If he would have said, "You little," and talking to a African American child and called them the N word, that's totally different. Dennis, welcome to the broadcast. Dennis, our friend Dennis lives over there in China. So, how are things over there? How's the weather? How are things doing? I don't get all the crazy either, Shy Blues. It is kind of nuts. And yes, thank you guys. If you would do me the favor of hitting the share button, I'm still in Facebook purgatory. I'm social media purgatory. My reach has been severely limited, so I need you guys to help by hitting the share button if you're finding value here. Let's see. Let's see. Crazy. Yes, Melanie. Yes, exactly. Right, you guys. Ed said we the people are currently on trial. The Democrats are intentionally creating a straw man, boogeyman, and we the people are it. You know what? I agree to a lot of that. And so I know some of you guys may not. So let's talk, like I said, we should be able to have a conversation. Um, I had a friend, and if you guys, like I said, some of you know this friend that kind of lambasted me the other day because he didn't like something I asked a question about. Now, here's a good question. I want you guys to really answer this for me. Should I be able to ask you a question about a piece of media? Ask you a question. Hey, what do you think of this? Or is this legit? Or should I be, that's my first question. Should I be able to ask you, share out an article and say, what do you think about this? Is that does that put me in a bad position? Do you judge people by asking questions like that? Melanie says you should be able to. Dennis says rain, but overall great weather. Mostly no virus problems anymore here in China, unlike what the media says, right? We can never really, and see, here's a good example. We have Hans is here from New Zealand. We got Dennis is in China. And what we hear about what's happening in China, about the uptick again, and something going on, Dennis saying that's not happening, right? And so sometimes you have to be on the ground. I heard people telling me that California, that Hollywood looks beautiful and there's the homeless problem is gone. I was like, no, that is not true. A friend was doing a live stream the other day of people throwing poop, their own human feces, at each other on was it on Rodeo Drive or Hollywood Boulevard? I don't know. But so you can't always, and right now a lot of times you can't really believe what you're seeing on the media, having people that are in there. Yeah, too much political correctness. You got to have people that are on the ground that you know and you trust, because like me, I'm not a spin doctor. When I'm telling you something, I'm going to tell you my opinion, but I can, I can say this is what's happening, this is my opinion, but I can see the other side of things. It's when we're angry about something that we have trouble seeing the other side. When we're our heels dug in, that it's really challenging to do that. Shy Blue says, used to give gay 90s pizza here in Redlands when I was a kid, obviously a long time ago. Oh, you used to go there it was called Gay 90s. And see, the Gay 90s were, well, I don't know, Gay 90s. I'm thinking gay, like when they used to call it, when the flapper days, was that the 60s, 40s, the gay 40s? I don't remember what it was. But again, now it's like, oh, I can't say that. I can't. And then with the pronoun thing, I have a real problem with the pronoun thing. If you tell me that you want me to call you him, and even if you're a girl, I will try and comply. I probably will, because I want to honor your request. But if you tell me in the House of Representatives I can't use grandma, anything that's gender specific, that's ridiculous. You're telling me you want me to take what I've learned since before I was in kindergarten, and now you want me to modify it and substitute things, and for what? I mean, really, for what? If there's someone in the House of Representatives or the Senate that is a transgender and they would like to be referred to as another, as the opposite sex of what they are or what they were born or whatever, that's one thing. But this gender neutral fluid like, how are people supposed to, how can we ever get that right? I mean, how can you ever get it right? What are there? The Bible says there are two genders. Now you guys can have your own opinion, right? Roaring 20s, thank you. You can have your own opinion, but the Bible says there are two, so I'm going with that. But now what do we have? 47? I think it's 47 genders. I, I can't even keep up. 3 is going to get tough for me. You want me to remember 47? I won't. I just really am not going to. So if you want to wear a tag that says something on there and you would like me to address you that way, I can probably try and do that. Hey, Sal, welcome to the broadcast. But for me, for you guys to expect people to stop using genders, I don't know. That just doesn't seem, that seems like you're making everybody else conform to a change that you're trying to make. Oh, BS, I use grandma, etc. Don't tell me how to speak. F that. Who said that? I couldn't see that. Oh, Shy Blues. um, California is loaded with crap throwing homeless. It is, Shy Blues. Oh, you live here in California too. Okay, so me too. I felt like I got set up from a cousin when she asked me a question regarding the Capitol. Right, and that's the other thing. That's why I'm saying we need to try and we're trying to build bridges, or and create community, not try and separate people. So, again, one of you guys have seen yeah, it's okay, Shy Blues. One of you have seen probably some of the conversations, and somebody who I've been friends with for, I don't know, 5, 6 years says, "OMG, unfollow!" Exclamation point. I can't believe da, 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 because I asked a question. And so I was like, whoa, you might want to slow your roll there for a minute. And I said, I asked a question about that article. I didn't even identify whether I agreed or disagreed, if I remember correctly. I just said, what do you guys think? Don't reject my reality and substitute your own. Exactly, Ed. I mean, we can all, like I said, I'm not going to walk up to somebody and try and insist that what they're feeling isn't what they're feeling. But it's odd for the people to try and make us do that. So when, so here it's like taking this, just because you shared something, you are like, what are you, a conspiracy theorist, lunatic, whatever? And I was like, really? So what did I say that came, where did that come from? Well, that person, and I remember what it was. It was the House of I mean, what's her, the Republican representative that just got removed from all her committees. Remind me of her name, guys. Marjorie remind me of her name. But anyway, I shared out, she was apologizing she was apologizing to everyone for for things that she had questioned before, or in her past, things that before she was a congressperson, or she's Congress, right? I can't remember which one she is. You'll have to forgive me. But the point is, she's in our government, and before she was in the government, she had been led to believe some things that now she no longer believes are true, whatever. And so she was apologizing to Congress. And I said, the fact is, I said, I appreciate when people apologize when they've done something wrong. And, and people are allowed to make mistakes. So just because people are take things out of context. If they see a person's name, they see an article, they respond. They don't read the article. They don't read your question. They see whatever that image is and they respond. And so we have a choice. Taylor Green, thank you, Ed. We have a choice. We can either react and attack, or we can ask questions and try and clarify. And then if people get rude or flippant or whatever, you get Marjorie Taylor Greene. Thank you so much, Christian. That when people get rude or disrespectful, then we can choose how we want to address it. Ed says I'm extremely, Congress in Georgia. Thank you, Ed. Ed had made a comment today about I'm extremely patient because some of these people that one of them's trolling me and another person's was kind of attacking me. And then I had another conversation today with someone who was just having a conversation. We obviously didn't have the same perspective, but we weren't arguing, fussing, fighting, calling people names, that kind of stuff. And again, Francis, welcome to the broadcast. Do me a favor, you guys. Would you please hit the share button? Because you guys know I'm still in Facebook. I'm in social media purgatory. I still can't get my content out. You probably found it by mistake, or I tried to tag some of you guys that like to participate in it. Lori says questioning everything should be the norm. You know what? I 100% agree. It should be the norm. We should ask questions. We should be asking questions. That's what I always teach. The HCI, how can I make a difference? How can I improve this process? How can I make things better? It doesn't matter how great it's going. When you use HCI, how can I, then you can move forward. You can produce and you can grow and make things better and help people communicate better. But when we keep shutting everybody down, like, oh, you're not allowed to think that. You're not allowed to talk about that. You're not allowed to say that. it's like this political correctness thing makes me feel crazy. So I refuse to participate in it. I really do. I mean, being cordial to someone and respecting a boundary that they have set, I have a choice. I can either respect the boundary or I will move on. Like I'll just withdraw from the situation. I don't need to assert myself. Now, if you're going to assert yourself on me and say, you will address me like this, I will probably go, no, I won't address you at all. Right? You're not going to force me into being who you want me to be. And so, today's topic is all this stuff tied in together. I'm going to read those comments in one sec, guys, but it's all tied in together. We're talking about, is this the impeachment process productive for you? Is it causing you strife and anger? Like, we got to work on that. If you're feeling angry, because I'm disappointed, I don't like some of the things that are going on, and like what I said before up there with Ed, the tears. Now, I'm not saying they were fake. Okay, I'm not saying they were fake. I'm saying my instinct and what I saw, it completely turned me off because it was the most inauthentic thing I had seen. I mean, honestly, that was my opinion. Now, you might have thought, Vicky, you are crazy. That was those tears sprung forward from this, drama, passion. He's like, he's crying and saying, my child said she doesn't ever wants to go to the Capitol again. That was the hardest thing for me. And this is the attorney. I believe, was it an attorney or was it a represent? I can't remember who it was. I just remember thinking, "Oh, come on." I mean, really? Like, hey, I'm a girl. I'm emotional. I am. I wear my heart on my sleeve. There are times that when I'm talking or speaking or something, that tears. Sometimes I'll cry here. Ed, what was his name that cried? Shy Blues is asking what his name was. I'm scrolling back here to see if I can find it. What was his name, Ed? Because I know you were there. Okay, I'll do your comments. Yes, I know. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for hitting the share button. Put your name in the chat and say something here. And let's see. So then I will never give my opinion to my cousin anymore. Oh, Shy Blues, I see. You got, yeah, your cousin trying to shut you down or made fun of you, tried to make you, why do people do that? You know why they do? Because they're insecure. That's the absolute truth. We can't have conversations anymore. There are people that don't want to have conversations with me, and I'm totally okay with that. Some of you guys will say, why do you continue communicating with that person? I'll say, because there's always a chance that they've turned into trolls, but we can have a troll conversion, and as long as I have the patience inside, I will do it. And once I lose my patience, I'll withdraw because I don't want to attack. um let's see Truth Conductor. There you go. Every wall built has doors or gates where we can connect appropriately. Walls are necessary, but so are the doors. That was from Dennis. I agree, Dennis. We have to have boundaries, right? Which can be the walls, but they need to be movable boundaries, but movable by us, not by other people deciding to plow them over, run them over, or do something else with them. So our boundaries, need to be our boundaries. Like, in my feed, I don't block. I don't think I've ever blocked anyone. Now, the only people I've blocked are the fact checkers. And if you don't know how to block the fact checkers, I don't know how much good it really does, but I think it does some because I seem to I seem to have less problems when I go in and block them. Marjorie Taylor Greene, yes, thank you. I had your back and will continue. Ed, I appreciate that. I really do. Francis, it's so great to see you here. I love to know others' opinions, whether I agree or not. Me too, Shy Blues. I absolutely love to know other people's opinions because I'm not going to learn anything if I'm not willing to listen, to open up and listen. If you tell me, for instance, there's no God. Now, I'm a Christian. I'm not going to believe you, but I'll listen to your position because I'm grounded enough in my faith to be able to give you, some more information for you to think about, right? I did a while back, gosh, it was probably 3 years. I think you were there, Melanie. Remember, I was debating that guy. I am not a biblical scholar by any means, but he was telling me that there was no Jesus, right? There was no God. And so I said, okay, well, let's just try and come up with some groundwork. And this is the same thing I think we need to do in Congress. I think we need to do before this impeachment trial. I think we need to do it in our lives, right? We have to come up with a base that we do agree on, something we agree on. Like when we were talking a minute ago, like, okay, we're live streamers or we're on live streams right now. That's something we have in common at this. We all might, there's men here, there's women, there's different color skin. I can see, I know some of you are Hispanic. I know some of you are Black, some of you are white, some of you are Italian, some of you are, I'm not sure what nationality some of you are. But there's all different kinds of stuff we got going on, right? So we have a melting pot of people that found a common ground, this conversation, live streaming, whatever it is. And so we have to utilize that to go somewhere. So we have to come up with a common ground. And the common ground I came up with, Tim, was, can we agree that Jesus was part of secular, like he lived, he was part of secular history? And he's like, nope. And I said, well, but he is, and so I gave him some things to read. I said, because we have to start somewhere. He goes, nope. I said, okay, how about this? Do we agree that George Washington lived? And he's like, yes. And I said, okay, so we know George Washington lived. So even though you never met him, it was in writing and you believe that he lived. Yes. So if we move back a little bit further, it's still part of secular history, not the Bible, but secular history states Jesus lived. The only debate then was whether or not he was the Son of God. But we had to start somewhere that he actually lived. And he refused to agree. He refused to read anything. He refused to. So when you get there, it's like, okay, well, if we can't come up with anything, any kind of common ground, a place to start and build, then that's people that they don't want to. They don't want to build the relationship. They don't want to build the conversation, and they don't actually want to learn anything. I was interested to learn because, it's funny. I've known there was a God my whole life, but I didn't have a personal relationship until I was, I think, 23. Like where I had a personal relationship and I understood that God would have died just for me. Even if I was the only person on earth, he would have died for me. And like that was different. Like, okay, I got that now. But I never really thought about whether Jesus was part of secular history. Somebody told me that. They're like, well, he was part of secular history, right? And I mean, I don't remember how old I was. Maybe I was 18 or 19 when they said it. I was like, I never really thought of that because they don't teach you that in school. I mean, they teach stuff, but now they don't teach that anymore. So we don't know, because that Jesus was, he's a person. You can believe he's the Son of God or not, but he's still there. Just like George Washington, you might believe he was a good guy or a bad guy. He was still the first president and he was here on earth, and we know that because of people writing it down. Unless you believe there's a big conspiracy theory that the man never lived and there was never any stuff about him. So that's where you have to come up with a common ground. And that's where I think we're lacking. We're lacking in social media, finding that common ground to say, and people are lacking the desire to have that conversation in the first place, which I think is what's causing problems for us. Let's see, going back to your comments and questions here. I had a friend unfriend me over a post I did. You know what I say to that? Bye, Felicia, right? If you're so childish that you don't ask me about it, you just either you attack me or you unfriend me over it. I didn't have time to have that conversation with you anyway because you were already on a hair trigger. If you know me at all, then you know who I am. And then you might question something if you didn't know that about me. But if you really don't like me asking a question or me posting something and you're not even going to have a conversation, you weren't my friend anyway. So bye, Felicia. Let's see. I'm very disappointed with people that are doing this to the president. I am too, because no matter what, whether you love him or hate him, this is still wrong. I mean, in my opinion, and again, watching how, how many of the Republicans that know because if you know the Constitution, this isn't right. And again, what I said earlier is that the Democrats made a good argument for an amendment when they talked about one piece and saying, hey, if we don't have something here, then any president at the very end of their presidency could do something crazy that they couldn't be, and they couldn't be impeached because they're already going to be gone. Okay, so there's at least a valid discussion to be had of whether you want to add an amendment. Trying to do it after the fact, retroactively, to change what the Constitution says, this is a farce. I mean, it is. Like I said, whether you like him or hate him, he certainly didn't say anything more incendiary than than Pelosi, because I've sent out those memes, than AOC, than Maxine Waters, that Harris. I mean, my goodness gracious, she's the one that said, they won't and they shouldn't let up, talking about during the summer. That's incendiary. That is inciting. Maxine Waters said, get up in people's faces on the Trump, it's like, okay, that is creating, because if somebody gets up like this in my face, girlfriend's probably going to have a little, I'm gonna try and stay calm, but I'm more likely to give her a fitch slap, and that's the truth. Extreme, not because I think it might be reactionary. I might give her a minute and tell her, "You better step back, mama." But that's you want to invade people's personal space, and you're suggesting that Trump didn't say, "Hey, I want you guys to take out your weapons and go rip down these things." So you can like or not like, you can think he shouldn't have said what he said, and that's okay. But it's not impeachable. And he's already out of office. They just don't want him to be able to come back into office again because they're afraid, because he probably will. Okay. I'm who cried? Okay. Ed said Raskin. Raskin's the one that cried. The Democrats are purposefully creating a divide in this country. I I I don't know that their intention is let's create a divide. I think they know they are creating a divide. I think what they in a perfect world, what they'd want is for everybody to flip around and just join their side. So if they can't do that, I think they'll push it apart for sure. I think bills should be presented anonymously, like when we judge an art piece without knowing who the artist is. The way the bills won't be dismissed or voted on based on which party presented it. That's a good point. Kind of, I have to process that a little bit, because I'm not sure. We're not talking about bills right now, though. We're talking about the impeachment process. So I'm not sure exactly how you meant for that to relate, but I hear what you're saying. Let's see. There's so much drama in that with the crying. The crying I thought was out of. I was offended by the crying, because I didn't feel like it was authentic. If it was authentic, my heart, I'm the one that cries at any movie that's got, my kids are like, "Mom, are you seriously crying?" I'm like, "Yeah, because that is sad." Right? Because when things are actually sad, but the dramatic pause in the crying, it was like a acting, a person who's acting that hasn't quite figured it out yet. That's how I felt. I'm not saying that's what happened. That was my personal opinion. I love listening to you, and we've been friends 6 years. I'm right with you. Thank you, Francis. Appreciate that. Because my cousin wants me to think her way, I think the way I think, and no one tells me different. You know what? That's how I am too. But I'll listen. I'll listen and ask questions. But if you're not going to ask questions, you're going to tell me why I'm wrong. Then you're what, creating the gap. You're taking away my bubble gum and Band-Aid. I'm trying to put it over and see if we can bridge. And then you're going, or really, you're stepping on it and crushing it. There's a lot of extreme hate, and that's the thing. I'm really, I don't know what your political affiliation is here. Mostly a lot of my fans are conservatives, because I'm conservative, but I have a lot of friends that are not, that that have a definite more democratic or left leaning perspective, but we can still have conversations because we don't attack each other. I don't think you're an idiot if you have democratic philosophies. When I was younger, I used to call myself a Demopublican. I think I told you guys that. I thought that there were some pieces of the Republican Party that I really liked, and some pieces of the Democratic Party, and I couldn't pick a side. I felt like, that there was this melding of what's there. And I personally, honestly, again, color me crazy, you don't have to like it, but I feel like what President Trump was delivering was that mid-range, and that's the way I felt, because I saw the opportunities. He was definitely trying to help the Black community, to try, especially where they were really struggling, because it's, if you're not in a certain community, whether it's a Latino community or a Black community or a white community or Italian or whatever it is, if you're not in that community, you might not know that that community is struggling, and it might be an all white community, but it's in in an area of town that's really depressed, and so it's struggling. But he was very open to helping whoever needed the help, and that's what I saw. So that's one of the things that I really liked about President Trump, because if you guys know, way back, I was not a Trump fan. I mean, between when him and Hillary were going at it, I used the hashtag embarrassed American. I thought the two of them were so childish during the the election process, I was embarrassing. And I didn't like Trump. I thought he was a pig, but truthfully, but I got to like him during his presidency. We all have stuff that's our old stuff. We all have our history and our past and whatever. It's the present and the existing. And people can say what they want about you, but with no facts to back it up and just a bunch of rhetoric, that doesn't mean anything to me. Let's see. What does this say? I'm sorry, I'm going back up to get those questions. Let's see. I need to learn how to block those fact checkers. To block the fact checkers, you can go into your settings. I'll do something on this later, but you go into your settings and then you go in. I'm trying to remember, but then you go into block. And when you hit the block button, it'll pull something up, and then you can write fact checker, and then try fact checkers, and then try fact, and then try anyway. And when you see them all come up, you just hit block on all of them. So I think I probably have 100 fact checkers blocked or something. Yes, it's about possibly a learning experience when I ask others' opinions. I'm an agree to disagree person. People thoughts fascinate me. Shy Blues, me too. As a matter of fact, I have a friend, Jim. Many of you guys know Jim. And Jim is so leftist leaning now that we can't actually have conversations anymore. They've become painful, like, because he has chosen now, because his perspective is different than mine, but he asked me, hey, let's do a podcast on this, have the two perspectives, male, female, Republican, Democrat, whatever. And I said, sure, I would do that. And he goes, wait, before you say anything, you can't have, we can agree to disagree. That can't happen. And I was like, then why are we having the conversation? Because we know we're not going to agree on everything, and you're not going to change my perspective. You can give me new information that I can evaluate, but I'm not. No, that becomes a bully session. What you're trying to do is bully me into believing what you do, or you're going to try and embarrass me in front of your audience or something. I'm not doing that. No, that doesn't make sense. And so he's like, well, we can't do this. I was like, well, yeah, because you don't get to bully me. I have my opinion. If you and I can't agree, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you until the cows come home. I'm going to present my position. You're going to present yours. Anyway, you get my point, right? So some people just don't want to agree. They are right fighters. They are going to be right no matter what. So, and by the way, if you haven't hit the share button yet, hit the share button, please, and make sure you're following me. Let's see. Lori says, I block anyone who verbally attacks me. If you tell me I need to have a PhD in order to have my own thoughts, that implies I must pay a school a fee and get a license to use my brain. I hate the phrase educate yourself. It is meant to make you feel inferior so the other person can win without actually discussing anything. Okay, I'm going to agree and disagree with that at the same time. I want to dissect that a little because I think this is a really good example of filters, right? If you guys have read my books, and Direct Selling 101, I talk about, and remember, it is about direct sales, but it isn't. It's about your life and who you are as a person. And we talk about your filter. Your filter can be broken. It can be marred. It can be chipped. It can be dirty, right? Because the way you see the world can be, we can't see it straight if we're using all the examples and all the stuff we've had. Hey, Kim, welcome to the broadcast. All the examples and stuff that we've had from the past, that's what we see through. And that makes a difference. And so if somebody tells me, let's see, she said, if I have a PhD, that obviously I don't need to have a PhD, and I don't care. I don't even have a college degree. I went to college, but I left college because I had started my business, and so you can say whatever you want, but I'm pretty bright. I mean, I have a great IQ, and I'm pretty smart, and I'm, whatever. But I don't care whether you agree or whether you disagree, and I don't need a PhD. And if you tell me to educate myself, I don't feel like that makes me feel inferior. I would say, on what? Well, give me something, if you've got all this wisdom and knowledge and it's at your fingertips, then drop me some links. I'll go read it. I'll check it out. So Lori perceives that as an insult. And maybe the people that are saying it are trying to insult. I don't take it as an insult. I choose to not take those things as insult because people are just immature, and they do oftentimes say stuff to try and, get rid of you, or yeah, go educate yourself, darling. It's like, okay, well, why don't you tell me what you want me to read? And then if I drop some links here, are you going to read them too? So we can have an actual conversation. If they say no, then you can choose whether or not you want to read, but I'm going to read them because I want I want to find out. And if it's good information, I'm gonna go, wow, that was actually good. And if it's terrible, I'm gonna say, seriously? Like that's what you're using as your basis? Well, now we have, now I know where you're coming from and I can drop down to the level that you're at and we can start working up, right? And so I say it a little bit differently, but it we have to be careful because a lot of people aren't as articulate as they want to be. And so they don't use the right words to say, hey, I'd like to have a conversation. They'll say, that's ridiculous. And you take it as, oh, they insulted me. And somebody might say, that's ridiculous because they just process like, that doesn't make sense. But it's just their word choice. So I always try and give people the benefit of the doubt and say, well, first glance, that set me off a little. So let me just ask you these questions so we can kind of get on the same playing field. Wow, those closed-minded folks are just ignorant. They can be really. Ed says, in addition to being scared to death of Trump 2024, this impeachment is a distraction from all the executive actions and orders. I cannot disagree with you there, Ed. For instance, Biden's action in the South China Sea antagonizing the Chinese at a time when we are not prepared or positioned for a war against the Chinese. Well, you know what, Ed? I would 100% agree with you, except for all the evidence that's there, and whether you guys agree or disagree. There's a lot, people call him Beijing Biden for a reason. Now, whether you think he actually has done stuff with the Chinese or not, there's an awful lot of evidence that suggests that he does. I don't think he's antagonizing them. I think he's buddy buddy with them, and he's just trying to see how cool I am. Like he's pretending he's exerting his strength, but the Chinese they already know he's come. Like this is just him peacocking to try and act like he's all that in a bag of chips. But they already have him kind of where they want him anyway. That's my unfortunate opinion. But I hear what you're saying. Um, uh, Francis says exactly, if you really my friend, then hang with me. Right, hang with me. Explain it to me. Be patient with me. If you're really my friend, not just a Facebook friend, right? Then try. And if we're not friends, I'm still going to try. But if you want to act like a turd, then it'll be short-lived. I muted my sister due to her constant hate Trump post. I'm not a political person and just tired of it, right? So there you go. That's what this person said to me. Most of my posts are not they're conservative for sure, but I'm not saying this is what you should believe. I'll say, this is interesting, or ooh, what do you think about this? Because sometimes I'll think, ooh, that kind of has a good point on both sides, or I'll think, holy crap, that is scary. So, but I want to hear other people's opinions. Let's see. OMG, water lies. Oh, Maxine? Yeah, I hear you. She's I, woo, woo. I think the media is creating divide. I think the media is creating the divide, but I think that is under the direction of others because I mean, and again, I want to hear your feedback, guys. Does it make sense that the media really is quelching all these topics? And if you don't think that that's happening, like you think I'm some weird conspiracy theorist, because I'm really not. I'm a researcher. I don't, if somebody says something, I don't go, oh my gosh. If they say something, whether it's positive or negative, I still go check, or I try and check everything out. Once in a while, I get myself, I'll trust someone, like somebody I know well, that usually always researches their stuff, and I might share something or that I find out later that say, oh, well, okay, that might not have been accurate or something. But in general, I'm a researcher. That's what I do. I want to find out what's going on. And so, when people tell me something, because people were saying, you're not, mainstream media is blocking you. And I was like, I'm Googling it. Like I thought this, year or 2 years ago or whatever. I Googled it and it's like, well, it's not there, so it must not be. But I didn't realize that Google was suppressing information, right? And I probably shouldn't say that out loud. I should spell it some way so the algorithm doesn't suppress me even further. But I didn't know. So when I started using DuckDuckGo and Brave and different resources, and the results were, whoa, like I would look something up and there's nothing there, nothing, zilch, nada. And I mean, the way search engines work, you might have written an article on it, so it's there. But then you look on another platform and there's hundreds of things. So then it becomes obvious, like something you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And so when you know it though, then, and this is where step up, stand out, and speak comes, is that step up, stand out, and speak doesn't mean shove it down someone else's throat. look, just because you're so dumb and you don't know there are other opportunities, we all had to learn what we didn't know. And whether that's in a political way, whether it's a conversation way, whether it's a relationship way, whether it's communicating, whether it's selling, whether it's doing social media, it doesn't matter. You had to learn. Everybody has to learn. And so we have to treat everybody with dignity and respect and assume that, maybe we happen to be the teacher in this particular thing. So never treat people like they're stupid because they don't know. You didn't know at one point too. You weren't born with the knowledge. So don't act like it's some skill that you have from that God has gave it to you before you were born, and it's telepathy or something. Um so let's see. So I think that there are people creating the divide because the media is being instructed. Let's face it. If you're over 30 or 40 years old, the media, when a story comes out, you've got people pouncing on a story, whether it's true or false. You got, mostly this is the story, and then someone will dissect it and whatever. But when you got things like the HUNTERBIDEN, LAPTOP coming out, and everybody's suppressing it instead of talking about it, that it's there because you've heard about it. But if you research that on DuckDuckGo, yeah, just do it. Just check it out. Try that on one and the other and tell me what you think. Because I'm telling you right now, that's scary. That made me literally scared, going, holy crap. The amount of that happening is cray cray because I didn't know what I didn't know, and now I do. And now it's my job to try and help other people to know. And just like you guys, I'm sure can help me know stuff too. Um, let's see. I think the Dems' intention is to take control. You know what? They definitely want to be in control. There's no doubt about it. And they want to snuff out anyone that's in their way. I'm personally super excited that I believe Newsom is going to be recalled. The people are just done. They're done with the dictatorship. And that is a snub on Pelosi too, because she's right in there. We know she's the puppet master. I'm just trying to figure out who's her puppet master, because we know Biden's a puppet. I don't know who's his puppet master either. Like, I know there's some people behind there, but I'm just not sure which ones are really in charge. Let's see. There are a lot of opinions in the Democrat opening statement. There was so much in that Democrat opening statement. I was getting a little dizzy myself. I mean, they made so many assumptions and assertions and whatever that it was like, come on. Like I was irritated. Right. I cry at sad, but drama is drama. Cry. Right. I mean, right. I thought I was a liberal before 2020. Okay. And that's what I was saying. Even Larry Elder used to be a libertarian. And then now I think he says he's a Republican. So he's moving because he said he's not moving. And that's the same thing I say. I'm not moving. I feel like the parties are moving. And so I'm still standing here, but the pendulums are swinging on what the party lines are anymore. By the way, have you guys seen the movie Uncle Tom by Larry Elder's movie Uncle Tom? Put a 10 in the chat box if you had. It was it's a documentary, but it's really good. And it had some really great things. Hey, Raul, welcome to the broadcast. Thanks for being here, guys. Hit that share button for me. Um, let's see. I'm a patriot for sure, not Dem. Yeah, I'm a patriot too. Like I said, I feel like when I look at people like Mitt Romney, I feel like I always felt like Mitt Romney was a little bit of a flip flop, and I feel like he and Fauci are buddies. They flip flop. Whatever way the wind's blowing, they're gonna go. So when I think of the old, because the GOP stands for Grand Old Party, right? And I used to think of the party that way when I was when I was 18, 20 years old. It was kind of a stodgy. The Republicans were kind of stodgy, which is part of why I had this Demopublican. I had this fresh, because my mom used to call me her little yuppie, you know, um, and I had this thing. I want business, this, but I felt like I said, the Demopublican. It was in the middle. I know I can't stand Romney either. Because I think he's fake. He's fake and phony. I mean, I hate that. I hate it when I feel like people are fake. And, it's so disappointing. Um, let's see. Gord08. Ha 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 ha. I don't know what that means, but welcome. He's always wanted to help everyone. Are you talking about Trump? I couldn't say, oh, Hillary. Holy Toledo. Yeah, don't even get me started on her. I've always thought, now, and again, this will get me in trouble, but I never trusted that woman. Never. And Michelle? Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Hey, Stacy, welcome to the broadcast. Oh, wow, thanks for I'll be blocking fact checkers by the hundreds. Yeah, right? Kim, it's so good to see you. Sorry, guys, I'm just getting back through those comments. I try to constantly see things from other perspectives. I think that's healthy, Lori. Most of the time, people won't tell you what to go read. I agree. And that's why I try. I'll try. That's why I send out the links and ask questions. And then I'll try in the broadcast, if there's something we're talking about, I'll try and go grab it and pop it in the chat. Because again, you don't believe me. I mean, go do your own research. Traitors and cop killers are not patriotic. I would agree that I agree. Traitors and cop killers are not patriotic, but I'm not sure who you're referring to. Are we referring to the people that were rioting during the summer? Are you referring to people that were rioting at the Capitol? Are all of those? I don't think that they are. I don't think that is. I do believe that patriots can get rowdy for sure, and it doesn't mean that's the healthy thing to do. But I think it can happen, and I am concerned, and I think you guys would be too. I am concerned at how people like AOC can use one, I mean, and this is true. This is not, I mean, I am repeating something someone else said, but because it's the same thing I feel. The rhetoric over the summer of this is the way it is, and telling you defund the police and do all this, and then getting pissed off because the police weren't nice enough to you when they're trying to get you out of your office. Like, do you want police or not? Like, I don't get that. And if you say defund the police one more time, I think you should get a scarlet sticker on you, and then you don't get police protection. Because there's a difference between, if you think reform needs to happen, reform always needs to happen in businesses and whatever. Reform needs to happen because things change, people change, just reform is okay. Defund the police, that's nuts and nonsense, in my personal opinion, because I want to stay safe. I want to stay safe, and I want other people to feel safe. And I think that I know a lot of police officers. I'm not saying that there are none that are racist, but I don't know any that are racist. I don't know any people that are racist. And if I did, we wouldn't be friends. I mean, I would probably continue trying to talk to them and see if we could come up with that middle ground, so I could help them see, and figure out why they have this jaded perspective that they're better than someone else. But anyway, you get the point. Let's see. Most of the time people won't tell you to read. I agree. Okay, let's see. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going back, and there's so many, and when I hit the button, then it doesn't give me the next one. It goes all the way down. Let's see. I love how you can convert the trolls or some of the many things, Francis. I love that too. I think it's the words educate yourself that are meant to attack. I'd rather them say, try looking at this info and tell me think. You know what? And Lori, that is a valid thing, but we do have to remember that other people may not have that terminology or language. They may not have the skill set to recognize that somebody might be triggered by educate yourself. Because again, you can sometimes tell with their attitude, go educate yourself, stupid, or something like that. Then you know that they're trying to, to do that. Like, I got tired of Robert being, coming up, he would always never reading any of the posts and then coming up with his gibberish. So we weren't having conversations on what I actually posted or the questions I asked. We were having conversations on some fictitious thoughts that he had in his head that might have come from somewhere else. And so finally I was like, dude, I would say hashtag educate yourself. Like, stop. I've had 48 conversations with you and you never read a thing. So I don't want to go back there anymore. But again, I had 38 million conversations first, but I can see, like I said, so if I said you may want to educate yourself on this topic because there's more to it than then I'm not being rude, right? And so we just have to kind of be careful. OMG, Biden and Harris, I think Biden and Harris are actually working with them. That's pretty plain. I've done the research. Not sure which part you're talking about, or if you're talking about China. Biden has to act like he's against China so he can keep them. I know, right? That's what I think too. I'm just saying, when you do all the research, you'll start to see a pattern. And when you watch him and how cocky he was with that Ukraine thing and bragging about it, and people pretend that he didn't break the law. He's been brought up on anyway. I've said it before. I don't have to talk about it again. Ed says, I'm totally with you. Anything that gets fact checked is more than likely true. Right? Did you guys see that the other day? So I posted, I don't even remember what it was, but I posted it. And the movie from Mike Lindell, the thing, Absolute Proof. So I think that wasn't it called Absolute Proof? And so I said, what do you guys think of this? And of course, Facebook, I mean, it had only been out for 15 minutes, for heaven's sake. They already have a fact check on it. And it was like, it wasn't a fact check. It was, this is false or whatever. And get a business coach. And I don't know what that said, but just a second. It's like 4 pages long. It had every single person in it and this detailed crazy history, like somebody did a full op-ed on what was going on. I mean, it was nuts. Then the next time when I posted that, then get this, you guys, I laughed and I said, don't you guys always want to peek behind the curtain? Whatever they say is fact check because you know it's probably true. Then they changed the same exact post, and now this warning on it said, warning, sexually explicit content or nudity. On the absolute, what was it called? Proof, absolute proof video or whatever it was called. And I'm like, if you got to watch it, it's a documentary, for heaven's sakes, like behind news cameras. There was no nudity. There was no sexual thing. I mean, it was ridiculous. And I started cracking up. And so I posted that about like the screenshot of how now it's saying it has sexual nudity. It was ridiculous. And then 30 minutes later, then it had another a fact check thing, the regular fact check thing. So 3 times in less than an hour, they changed why they were suppressing the information or why they didn't want people looking at it. That's nuts. Call it algorithmic, call it on purpose, whatever you want. But it's, if it's got a fact check thing on there, you better dig a little deeper. Stacy said, you taught me how to sell. Just hit 26 months. PCQ. Oh, that's great, Stacy. I know my grandkids tell me, well, Google says no. That gets to me. This grandmother goes, well, let's learn something new. Google doesn't share everything. Ain't that the truth? Hey, bend over. Welcome to the broadcast. And yes, we know what your name is. That's why libraries with printed info is so important, but library access became inaccessible with lockdown, so you had to rely on internet searches. Searches are repressed or evidence is deleted by big tech. Now, this is a really good point because I want to bring this up. I think this is important. My kids laugh at me, and you guys may too, but you may not be laughing forever. My kids are like, Mom, throw all your DVDs out, get rid of all this music, get rid of all your your movies. Like, you can just download them and you can buy them and then they're stored in the cloud. I said, I don't want to. I want to be able to touch my stuff so nobody can take it away from me. Now look at what happened. Have you guys tried checking for Gone with the Wind at any time recently? You can't get it anymore. Well, I mean, maybe it's back. I don't know, but I doubt it because they were taking all the movies out. It had slaves. Nope. Well, we can't whitewash history and pretend it didn't happen. Like Gone with the Wind's a classic movie. They took out books that Roots. I wanted to read Roots again because I was asking somebody legitimately, do you think that watching that movie is a good example to help kids understand what slavery really was about? Because we don't really see that now, and it's really hard to put your finger on it especially when you're a kid. But I know that I cried when I watched that movie. Yes, I love that, Kim. I cried. She said Project Veritas is the fact checkers. I cried when I watched that movie because I thought, oh my gosh, how could this happen? Like, I my brain couldn't even imagine what was happening to these people. So, but you can't get Roots. I mean, you guys look and see if you can find them because I couldn't find them. They took them all. They took the movies. They took a bunch of stuff. Some Disney movies that had slaves in them or had servants that were black. They took them all out. It's like, anyway, that's a whole nother topic. And for library, and so I told my kids, I'm not getting rid of my stuff. I'm not getting rid of my records or my CDs because also look what happened with big tech. They can just shut people down and say, nope, you can't access your stuff. I don't like people having that much control over me. So that kind of bothers me. And I do listen to audiobooks when I can. So when we couldn't go to the library, I did a lot of audiobooks. Didn't Biden say California was going to be used as a template on the way the whole country should be run? He did talk, well, actually, I believe it was Newsom that sent him a letter, or okay, wait. Harris, I believe, is the one that had talked about it. I could be wrong. And then Newsom sent a suck-up letter to Biden saying basically, like, California is ready for you to, blueprint us. And then I don't know if you guys saw, what was it, 3 days ago? What's today? Tuesday? So maybe it was Friday, Thursday or Friday. I don't know if you know who Kevin Kiley is, and I know I'm way over what I normally do. I'm going to go a few more minutes because I want to get your questions. But Kevin Kiley um, announced Biden was because do you guys know that there's $31 billion of unemployment fraud here in California, including over $1 billion that went to prisoners. They got unemployment. There's I think 2 billion that went to gangbangers. They were buying. I mean, it's nuts, right? And so Biden actually talked about this woman who was couldn't. She's been unemployed for a year, couldn't get or almost a year during this process, and couldn't get her unemployment. And Kevin Kiley finally helped her. So Kevin Kiley is Newsom's biggest nemesis because Kevin Kiley's right at there filing lawsuits against him, which he got, he's the one that got Newsom's executive powers quelched. The Supreme Court said no, he's acting like a tyrant and took away his executive power. Anyway, all these things. So Kevin Kiley's like his the thorn in his flesh. And Biden said it was Kevin Kiley that when all this stuff's going on. So basically threw Newsom under the bus. It's hysterical. So are they still thinking that California's the blueprint? I don't know, because if you guys heard Biden the other day, there goes Newsom under the bus, and I think Newsom's out. Let's see, Uncle Tom, like Uncle Tom's Cabin. Yes, Lori, it's a movie called Uncle Tom. You can see it on Amazon Prime if you guys have Amazon Prime. I think it's also on Hulu. I'm not sure, but or you can, I think, download it for $12.99 or something to watch it. It was actually really good. I can't stand Romney either. Let's see. Yeah, he gives me the creeps too. I'm a patriot. I'm against insurrection and sedition. They are traitors. I don't know who you're talking about as traitors, Raul. Anybody who went to the Capitol? Because you never knew what GOP meant, Shy Blues. There you go. Grand old party. And again, that's something I want you guys to know. You can ask questions. Ask. I mean, I may not know the answers either, but the fact is we can learn together. If I don't know, or if I know, I'll share it with you, because there's no dumb questions. We all have to learn, guys. We all have to learn. I don't believe that everybody that went into the Capitol building was trying to create insurrection. When I watched, like I know some people not that went into the building, but when I saw, and I've talked about this before, when I saw the doors open, I mean, if the doors open and I was standing there, and like, I don't know, I might walk in. If somebody said it's illegal for you to walk in, but I'm opening the doors anyway, I would think, well, then you're an idiot. I don't know what's going on, but I think I'll stay out. But if you open the doors and I'm right there, I'm wandering in. I want to know what's going on, or I haven't seen the Capitol building. I want to check it out. So I don't think everybody was an insurrectionist that was there. Let's see. Romney is the father of gay marriage here in America. I don't know what that means, Stacy. I don't know what that means. Let's see. Stacy has Bible News Radio, so she actually does research a lot of topics for sure. Traitors and cop killers are not patriotic. We already did that. Hillary is evil, and Michelle. Oh, those are. I know, right? I'm just saying that's how I feel. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying that's how I felt. All rioters. Rioters, yes. Like I said, I think that protests are important. And I think it's hypocritical that the people say, well, protests have to be passionate, and that's why they're smashing windows and stuff. That's a bunch of baloney. If you put a brick in front of me, I'm not throwing it through a window. I'm going to continue to try and to share my perspective and whatever. I'm not throwing it through a window. Anyway, that's either. I barely saw that Capitol video. I didn't appreciate that. I don't know what that means. Yes, reform needs to happen. I believe it's okay to not like people. You can't govern a heart. It's the actions that matter. I think we have to try to understand them. We don't have to like them. We need to try to understand them, because that's what God asked us to do. And I think it makes us a bigger person because we start to understand and comprehend things better. Well, some of my comments are already getting blocked out. Guess Facebook is watching me again. Oh, well, maybe Bookface will get educated. I do notice that a lot of the comments, they are there, but not here in here. So later they'll be there, but sometimes, yeah, they got all kinds of blocking going on. What does get Gebta business coach now? I don't know what that means. Gebta? I don't know, dog walker guy. I don't know what that means. I don't ever spell Bowden right because those people block me. Yeah, I got you. That makes sense. And by the way, I don't know. I didn't do my Patriot call yet. If you guys are a Patriot and you guys want to know what I'm doing to try and help with some of this stuff, I have to know you to let you in the call. But if you send an email to booking, BOOKING at VickiFitch.com, and you just write Patriot in the header, we will get you some information on a Zoom call we're doing. Let's see. I saw Mike's. It was proof, and he spent a lot of time gathering info. Yeah, I watched the absolute proof video. I found most of it extremely compelling. So you can call me crazy or conspiracy theorist or whatever you want, but I disagree. I found it very compelling, and I found it's the people that are delivering the information are pretty reputable people. You know, so are they seem to deliver a reputable message. Project Veritas has videos busting the fact checkers. I know, right? It's crazy. Great. They blocked my Gone with the Wind. Thank God I have them. Right? That's what I'm talking about, Francis. I have the movie here, but I love it's one of my favorite movies. Song of the South. Yeah, they took Song of the South out, right? Shy Blues. Watch next they'll take Andy Griffith. Oh my gosh, maybe. Who knows? Yeah, California politics. California got some crazy things I didn't know that about. That yeah, there's so many things here nobody knows about. Was Trump inciting a riot productive? Fish stock, are you still here? Looks like that was a couple minutes ago. Let me know if you actually like it sounds like you're trying to suggest that he did incite a riot, which I completely disagree with. We can have a discussion on that if you want to, but what we're talking about is how to bridge gaps instead of dividing people. And is it productive for you to educate yourself? Is it productive for you to get in there? Is it causing problems for you? Newsom, wear masks. Newsom eating $1,000 dinners. Did you hear? I heard on a thing today the bill for that dinner was $12,000 for the food and $16,000 for the wine. It was what is that, 16 and 12? I was a $28,000 dinner. I don't know about you, but there ain't no food that's good enough for me to drop 28 grand. Ed said, had to step away. Did Psaki tweet saying Biden was against the Newsom recall? I don't know. I did not see that. I don't know. I didn't see that, Ed. So let me know if you saw that. I haven't seen that. Lori says, when I ask questions about minorities, I get attacked. I asked once why the word Oriental was derogatory word. I was thrown under the bus and called a racist. It was an honest question. I didn't know why. I do now, but I was attacked for not knowing. I don't know why. I mean, I could probably guess some things, but see, that's what I'm talking about. That's one of the things of being on my live streams. We're not, or even my questions. You should be able to ask a question. Why can we not do that? Why are we not allowed to ask people why something's offensive? You know, if you don't know, then why can't you ask? I don't get that either, Lori. So I wouldn't, I would try and maybe ask on threads that somebody has your back and will help you navigate what's going on, and if people start attacking you, that they'll start defending you. Trump spent 4 years dividing this nation, Cherubrock. If you don't realize that, you're ignorant. So, see, you make a perfect point, Cherubrock. So, you come on a live stream. You just got here, I think. And now you're calling me ignorant. I mean, I'm just wondering if you think that's the best approach. So, instead of having a conversation or finding out what I believe, that you jump to that. So, I mean, we can have a conversation, but it doesn't sound like you actually want to have one. 28,000 would have helped so many homeless. Right. And I don't blame them for spending it if they want to, but especially when they weren't even supposed to be there in the first place. It just kind of seems that. Cherubrock says it's 2021 and you don't know why calling someone Oriental. I don't. So okay, so here's a great this is perfect, Lori. So Cherubrock, again, you come in to my live stream and you're ridiculing. So are you like the all-knowing or something? Because if you are really smart, you can feel free to share with us. I'm sure there's probably something in your life that you don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to be facetious, but I do want to have a little hint of sarcasm there because maybe you don't realize how rude it is what you're doing. Because if you want to have a difference of opinion, then let's talk about it. Like, I disagree that he spent 4 years dividing the nation. I think that I mean, again, we can agree to disagree. You don't have to agree with me, and I don't really care if you do, but if you want to have a conversation, the fact is that he actually spent 4 years trying to help the nation. The Democrats spent 4 years trying to claim that he had this Russian hoax. And that was a hoax. If you guys haven't watched the C-SPAN stuff and you haven't actually really done your research, that's all laid out 100%. It's I mean, people admitted it during the congressional hearings. You just don't hear about it on the mainstream media, but it is what it is. It's true. So, so then I don't. So does someone want to tell me why it used to be okay to say someone was Oriental, meaning they came from the Orient, right? Because that's what Oriental means. They came from the Orient. So why that would be derogatory? Like I didn't even know it was until Lori said that. So if you think I'm a fool, then okay, whatever. But and I don't know. I'm not gonna lie and pretend. Oh, of course I know. I don't know. Tell me. Um, let's see. I'm sensing a troll in the house. Let's convert that. I'm sensing that too, but let's give him a chance. Let's see. Oh, I see. So people are Oriental, regs are Oriental. Okay, you do understand that the word Oriental means come from the Orient. So an Oriental rug means the rug came from the Orient, just like an Oriental person came from the Orient. It's like, an American person came from America. It's not an insult. If there's an American apple pie, I'm not insulted, right? What did you say? Not Oriental? I don't know. Huh? I don't know what that means. Oh, people are Japanese, people are Chinese, people are Vietnamese, not Oriental. Okay, but they came from the Orient, right? That was what the region was called. Am I right or am I wrong? I mean, somebody help me out if I'm wrong. And again, so Cherry Brock, like this, having conversations is okay, but trying to make fun of someone that doesn't understand and acting like I'm some kind of bigot, crazy person, how productive is that? I mean, was it making you feel good, or was I misinterpreting? Was I misjudging you? Um, Francis says someone got ticked on about Oriental instead of Asian. I don't get it. I don't either. So Asian means they come from Asia or that area, right? So are we allowed to say Asian or not? I don't know. Is there somebody that is Asian or Oriental on here that can confer this? Because I don't know that. I mean, I know some Oriental people, and I still call them, or I just said it again, or Asian. I know people that are, you know, different. I'm gonna ask them because, like I said, as far as I know, that is not an insult, but it could be. Yesterday Biden throws Newsom under the bus. Today Psaki tweeted Biden opposes recall. Who was in control of the White House? Oh, she did tweet that. Okay, I didn't know that. Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Who is in charge? I have no idea. There's not a lot of congruency there. I was told to use the word Asian instead of Oriental, but Asian could be Russian. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to find out though. I'm going to see if I can get some information from some other people. But if you get some, share it with me. Because again, this is kind of where political correctness comes in a little bit. If, like we know the N word, right, was a derogatory term. It was not something that was ever used just to describe where someone came from. It was used as an insult. So we know where that came from. But when you say black versus African American versus something else, like if you want us to change what we're saying and there's a reason, then that's fine. If you want us to not say something, but don't don't suggest that we're racist or stupid because we don't know, right? My son was getting bullied when he was in school, and he went to a school that was actually more Hispanics and blacks. He was the minority, and Chinese actually. It was actually a what do you call it, a um when they bring kids in from other countries, what do you call that? Anyway, so a foreign exchange program. So they had a lot of Chinese people there, and anyway, they used to call him Cracker, right? And he's like, "Mom, why can they call me Cracker?" And they call each other the N word, and I'm not allowed to say that, but they can call me this. Like I don't understand. And honestly, I don't have a really good answer for him because but I do. I mean, this is the answer I gave him. I said, as for calling them the N word, I don't know why they call it each other it. I just don't know. I understand, what happened with slavery and how that was. I mean, they were victims of abuse and people taking advantage of them, and that word kind of isolates that, and it's derogatory and not good. And I said, cracker, because you're white. Does that offend you? And he said, no. And I said, That's why it's different. And he's like, but they mean it to hurt me. I said, but does it hurt you? He said, no. And I said, that's why it's different. That word hurts. And he goes, but it doesn't seem to hurt them when they call each other it. And I said, yeah, I can't explain that part except for like when you have your brother and somebody says, your brother's an idiot, and you say, hey, the only body can call my brother an idiot is me, right? So like it's like protective. So I could probably do a little bit more research and find out why that stuff is, but again, we need to be cognizant of the fact that people are not always insulting people just because they don't know the new politically correct term. Let's see. I haven't heard back from Chair Brock if what I said made sense or if you had something. Someone got to okay. I was told that okay. The one on Periscope got ticked off about that Oriental too, and I was lost about it. Okay, yeah, I don't know, whatever. Nigerian was changed to the N word. What? I don't know what that means. Um, let's see. Smiling, I think I'll ask Martha Stewart is politically correct to Asian or Oriental. Who knows what she'll. That's a good question, right? It's okay to use derogatory words against Caucasian. Right, it is, but it shouldn't be. I don't agree with it. But if it doesn't hurt your feelings, I guess it's easier, to make excuses for it. But he was right. I mean, and the school had a no tolerance policy. They weren't allowed to call him cracker either, but he wasn't going to go, tell because he didn't really care, but he felt insulted because he knew they were insulting him, not because the word was insulting. Let's see. It is a double negative. Perhaps why it's okay to call your friends a bitch, but not a non-friend. I suppose that's true. Like I said, it's when, that's one of the things. I don't think you should actually write that, Lori, because I'm surprised they didn't block that. But N word was the hurtful word for Nigerian. Oh, but it was the hurtful word for anybody of color, right? Of any of black color. All right. Well, we have been instead of 30 minutes, we've been on an hour and a half, guys. So anyway, I appreciate you guys being here and wrapping this up. If you haven't shared, hit the share button because I think we had a really good constructive conversation today. And remembering that today, is the impeachment, we were talking about is the impeachment process productive for you? Are you dividing? Are you trying to build bridges? Are you communicating? Are you using isolating words? Or are you trying to bring people together? And remember, when people are pushing the bridge apart and you try and throw your bubblegum and band-aids on top of it, they're just going to make it collapse. But you should always continue to try and communicate. You should ask questions. And again, you shouldn't be embarrassed. You should find safe places, safe resources to ask questions. You're welcome, Francis, to ask questions like, Shy Blue said she didn't know what GOP had meant. And Lori is introducing me. I did not know that, and I'm still not convinced. I have to find this out for myself that Oriental is like a bad word now or slang or something. I don't know. We had our buddy here, Shara Brock, who was mocking me, but I think he went away. I don't know. I don't know where he went. Anyway, guys, I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you'll be here. Make sure you set your timers, okay? Because as you know, notifications aren't going out or not very much. Set your timers, put the notification thing on so you guys can find me. 6 p.m. Pacific, pretty much every day. Yesterday I was gone, but I'm trying. I think the whole rest of the week I'm here, 6 p.m. Francis says, I just want them to throw this darn impeachment out. It's not constitutional. It's wrong. I agree. It isn't constitutional. And I think they know that too. But they want, I think they want an amendment for the future to protect them from something that could happen that's never happened in the history. They're just trying to pretend it happened this time. So they have a reason to try and do this impeachment because they're afraid of Trump. That would be my best guess. But anyway, you guys are awesome. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I want to remind you, like I always do, to dream it, believe it, and achieve it. Ciao. See you guys later.